Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, my name is Sasha. I do a lot of indie palette reviews and some unboxing, so if you guys are into that kind of content, then make sure to subscribe to my channel because I love to have you guys here. And make sure to turn on those bell notifications on because I just post whatever I want, whenever I can. Alright guys, but for today's video, gotta mentally prepare myself because I'm not sure how long this is gonna be, because this is gonna be a ranking video of ranking all the palettes I've tried last year of 2022. And I have 67 palettes. So there is one palette that I just tried on today. So today's January 4th. I received it in the last day of December, so New Year's Eve. But I want to include it in this ranking because I don't want to wait to talk about it until the end of next year, you know? I mean the end of this year. So I want to include that palette for this video. It's what I'm wearing right now. Everything what I'm wearing today, it's going to be in the description down below. So currently right now I'm only subscribed to one beauty box subscription. It's Ipsy Plus, and well, I get PR from Ipsy and BoxyCharm, so I get a lot of palettes from them. I don't think I got that many palettes from last year from them, or even from my paid bags. So maybe there's some that I didn't even include. There is some palettes I have swatched but I have not tried out, so I'm not including those palettes, but only the palettes that I've tried, I'm going to be ranking them. So my worst palettes are actually from subscription boxes, you guys. My worst palettes are from subscription boxes. And my better palettes is the palettes that I purchased with my own money from a lot of indie brands. So there's a lot of indie brands here. There are some high-end brands too, but overall more indie brands and high-end brands. So okay guys, grab a snack or something to eat because it's gonna be not sure how long, but let's have fun. Okay, so we're gonna start with this one right here. So this is by the Adept Cosmetics, the Persephone palette, and it looks like this, you guys. So the quality of this one is horrible. The mattes are lackluster. The shimmers, they're not that shimmery, so I really have to dig it into that one to get the most out of it, but nah. And plus the formula, it's just not that good. So a lot of the palettes that are my worst, I'm actually going to be decluttering them, so I will be doing a declutter video later this month after I'm all settled down after doing these videos. Alright, so the next one is by Tarte Cosmetics. This is actually a BoxyCharm exclusive that was in the BoxyCharm premium takeover box. So this is called the Sunrise palette, and you know, I had high expectations from Tarte, maybe because it's the Cola palette with BoxyCharm, but the quality in this one is horrible. The mattes are not that pigmented, like you really have to build them up. And the shimmers are okay, but it's just the mattes. I feel like I had a hard time working with this palette, so this is gonna be number, oh you guys, I forgot to mention the numbers. So this is number 66. Now for number 65, I'm gonna kind of talk about it faster. I forgot to take off the sleeve for this one. I have the sleeves for all the palettes, but they're on the side somewhere. So this is the Kokie Cosmetics. It's the Your Eyes Only. It's just a neutral palette. This is definitely better than the other two palettes. The mattes are okay. The shimmers, they're not that shimmery. So now for number 64 is by Beauty Bakery How Are You Doing. So this one was from BoxyCharm. I mean, at least it's like a color story. But the shimmers, it's just shimmers. They're like more on the satin side, so I'm not a huge fan. They're very subtle shimmers. The matte, I'm not a huge fan of the matte formula, so I'm not a fan of Beauty Bakery formulas. Here's number 63, and this is by Adept Beauty, the Desert Sunset palette. And I mean, some of the shimmers are okay. They are a bit lackluster, but at least there's like a nice variety. Some of them are more on the sheen side. Some of these shimmers have a little spark to them. The mattes are not that great, but this is definitely better than the other palettes before this. Alright, the next one is by Carmela Cosmetics. It's the Defiance palette. The mattes, the formula to this one is actually pretty good. So yeah, there's no complaints about this one. It's just a neutral palette. It has nice range of shimmers, the shades. It's an easy palette to work with. It's beginner friendly, I would think. 61, this is by Rare Beauty, and this is the Came to Play palette. So it looks like this. And the mattes are okay. They're not that pigmented. It's an okay formula. The only thing, this is a glitter. I don't mind glitter, but I just haven't had a chance to use this. But I feel like it would have been better. I think it's just for aesthetic purposes. So what I would love to see from Rare Beauty is to see a bigger palette, but an actual like good color story. Like Come on, Rare Beauty, you could do better. Okay, so for number 60 is by Formula Z. So it is like an indie brand, but I got it from Ipsy Plus, and this is a So Pretty palette, and it looks like this. It's really pretty. So the formula to the shimmers to these, they're really nice. These are glitter, so you need glitter glue for these. The matte, I'm not a fan of the matte formula, but the shimmers, these shimmers are really pretty. They're prettier than the Rare Beauty palette, so that's why I'm rating this like better than that one. But true, so a lot of neutral palettes are ranked lowly because of that. Unless it's something special, then I'll rank it higher. But yeah, all my palettes, my top palettes, are all colorful palettes. That's just my style. So this is number 59, and this is by Heimish. It's a rose palette. So this one, it's, oh, I have the brush right here. Okay, sorry. This one, it's pretty. It's a pretty rose palette. So I love the shimmers on these ones. It's very kind of sparkly, not too much, but like a subtle sparkle. So they're pretty. These are more Shein metallics, and the mattes, they're really soft, and when you blend them out, they're like, it's so easy to fade them out too. So I feel like this one is a very beginner friendly, but it's not often I use these colors. I used to love rose colors like a lot, I guess when I first got into makeup, that's why. But now I don't use rose that much anymore. Alright guys, so number 58 is by Beauty Creations, the Muriel Twins palette with Brittany, and this one I got through Ipsy, actually for glam bag, my last glam bag, and I think I chose it too. I chose it because it was gonna be my last glam bag. I'm like, wow, at least they're stepping it up, but I just don't want, I just get so overwhelmed with the sample sizes, that's why. But this one, Beauty Creations is supposed to be an affordable brand, and for the price, I think this palette is okay. So I like the mattes, they're like soft, but they're not so pigmented. The shimmers are very, very subtle, like you really have to build them up. So I feel like the shimmers, they lack in pigmentations. I like the color story though. 57 is by Sandbar Beauty. It's the Oasis palette. So it's a little tiny palette. I got this through Ipsy Plus, and it looks like this. And the shimmers on this one, it's actually pretty nice. They're not like too shimmery, but it's not too satin side. So it's like a good range of shimmer color story. So this one reminds me of the Trickle Drizzle Polish, the Dinosaur palette. I don't have that one, but that's what it reminds me of. Except that one, of course, the formula's gonna be better. But this one, that's what the colors are reminding me of. So these are actually nice colors. Now number 56 is the Kokie Cosmetics The Moment palette. So this one is freaking huge, and the pans are huge too. So this one, the shimmers are actually really pretty. So this one's actually a dual chrome and matte. They're more hard pressed, so you really have to kind of build them up. So in a way, it's kind of easy to blend out. And then these, I'm not a huge fan of these shimmers that are here. They're too satin for my liking. So these two. So this is from BoxyCharm Premium. At least it's like a nice color story, something different. So it's actually ranked pretty high compared to the other palettes that I receive in subscription boxes. I can't keep up with the numbers. I'm just gonna just move on. I keep looking at my list, but everything should be in order. It's only the things that kind of together. So this one is gonna be the Huda Beauty. It's the I Am palette, and this one, I love the color story. The mattes, they're easy to work with. They're not too pigmented, but they're not too like least pigmented. It's like in the middle. The shimmers on these, they're a little bit chunky, but they're not shifty. They're sparkly, but they're like in the middle. So it's not like my favorite shimmer formula. So yeah, but this is a beginner friendly palette though. I need to move these. Oh my gosh. I dropped the Rare Beauty palette and it just broke. It just broke. I just dropped it. I'm so sad now. I don't like breaking palettes. Okay, so the next one though, this is by Lunar Beauty. It's the La Flor de Mexico palette. So this one actually did better because the shimmers on these are more sparkly, more my style comparing to the other palette. And it's like a nice range of neutral shades. So you have green, oranges, and then you have this light shade to fade out the other shades as well. So I really enjoyed this one. I love the shimmers. So the shimmers in this one is better. This is by Kokie Cosmetics. This is the Evil Mermaid palette. So this is one of the first indie brands I started buying. I mean, so when I first got this, you know, I love blues, you guys. I really like reviewed this palette pretty good. The only thing I did say something about the mattes. Of course, I remember the mattes, and I haven't like really used it. I played with it with the swatches and stuff, but you know, I kind of still feel the same way. The matte formula is not my favorite. It's very lackluster. Like you really have to build them up. They're like dusty. Like they just lack pigmentation. Like these two. So for some reason, this one looks weird. But the shimmers, though, I think there's probably two that are duochrome. They're really pretty, so that's why it's doing better than the other palettes before this. But yeah, I think the matte one, if they would have done better with the matte formulation, it would have ranked higher. Moving on to this one. So this is by Lunar Beauty. It's a nude prism palette. So this one, it's a neutral palette, but yeah, I would say this is pretty easy formula to work with. The only tricky shades to work with for me were just the darker shades, but the shimmers, they're very sparkly, very shimmery. Like you get a lot of pigmentation on those. They're on the oily side. The next up is by Natasha Denona Cupid palette. So this is like a BoxyCharm exclusive. So it looks like this, and it's really pretty. It reminds me of the palette I'm going to mention next. It's another Natasha Denona palette, but this one is just a 5-pan. That's why it's pretty. The shimmer is pretty. It's kind of sparkly, but not too much. It's like in the middle. So this one's more on the metallic side. And yeah, I like Natasha Denona, but some of the palettes are coming up from her brand. So there's the one I did better. There's a retro palette. So you guys, I really wanted this palette for the longest time, and when I used it I just didn't like I mean, I love the shimmers, the light shimmer, but the burgundy sides are just too dark for me. I really need like a few lighter shades. Probably have to mix it with other palettes. So yeah, that's why this is rating pretty low. Okay, the next one is by Huda Beauty. It's a power palette. So this is like a brand new palette that I just tried out only once last month, but I already have opinions about it, and I feel like I'm not gonna love it as much the more I use it. So I feel like when I swatched it, there was probably two shades that look really close in similarities, and then when you look at it, they look like similar tones. And for some reason, I had trouble using this shade right here. And then some of the shimmers, I think it was this one, I really had to build up, so I didn't like that. I just expected like better, but you know, I still need to try it out more. But even then, I feel like this is like the same way how I feel about the retro palette. Like I feel like there should have been a few lighter shades or some different colors as well. But okay, so right here's number 48, and is a Natasha Denona Mini Crush palette, and this one is so pretty. I love this one. It's so cute. I haven't used it in a while, but it's really pretty. I love the mattes. I love that it has different matte tones, and then you get a pink shimmer and like a reddish shimmer. So this is from Patrick Top Beauty. It's a Major Dimensions 2 palette, the rose palette, and the formula to this one is absolutely perfect. Great formula. And then it includes 2 creams. The creams have not dried out on me. They're still good. And in the shimmers, it reminds me of the Korean brand, the Heimish. I mean, he's into those sparkles, those sparkly shimmers. So they're really pretty. And I know it's an expensive palette, but it's actually really good formula if you're into like the sparkliness shimmers. It's so pretty, guys. So it looks like, oh, trying to swatch it, but it's just to show you guys real quick. But yeah, they're just sparkly. You really have to build them up though. They're not that pigmented, but I think the formula is great. You see the little sparkles. Next, this is the by Kokie Cosmetics Cola palette with Batty Bean, and this is a Halloween palette that was released last year. And you guys, I like the color story. It's just that not often I use these colors all the time. It's grungy. It's definitely Halloween vibes. And this one, oh, I use some of the pigment of this to make my own shade from the Unearthly the Weirdos palette, because my Glamour shade, they're gonna send me a replacement, but I was trying to make my own. But that was before I knew they were gonna send me a replacement. But yeah, that's why this one looks so empty. But yeah, this is I think the mattes, they're kind of like a tricky formula to work with. The shimmers, they're not like too sparkly. They're more on the like shifty. Like it's not super shifty, but yeah, that's the reason why it's rated kind of low. So number 45 is gonna be the Ace Beaute Tropical Vibes palette. So this one's probably one of the best green palettes, because I don't really have a lot of green palettes. It's just dedicated to a bunch of greens, but this is a nice nice green palette. The only thing, there's only 3 shimmers, so you're really limited, but besides that, the mattes, it's a nice range of mattes. The only thing, some of them are not that pigmented, so you really have to build them up. But yeah, it's just nice to have a green palette. So I feel like I will still keep this one whenever I do my declutter video. Like, I'm kind of attached to my Beaute palettes. Like, I've been meaning to pick up their newer ones. Oh, I'm so in love with their newer palettes lately that they released last year. So this one's number 44, and it's the Natasha Denona Pastel palette. So I love the packaging of this. Oh, I adore it, guys. And you know, when I first reviewed this palette, I did 4 different eye looks, and I said good things about this palette. The only thing, of course, the pastels, they're not like super pigmented, so you have to build them up, but to me they were easy to work with. You just have to like be a little patient and building up the shades, or to blend out, it was easy to do. The shimmers, some of them are kind of sparkly, so I feel like they were trying to be like a little bit like indie, but not exactly. They're more in subtle shimmers, subtle dual chromes. So this one, I actually have another palette that beats this like on a long shot, like another pastel palette that I'm going to mention later. You guys could probably guess. I'm going to mention 3 palettes because they're limited edition, so you can't get them because they were in a mystery box. So it's from Unearthly Cosmetics, so it's their Halloween palette. So yeah, let me show you guys the color story. So my my most favorite is the purple one because I love purples. So it looks like this. The mattes, they were pretty pigmented. It's just the shimmers. I feel like the Unearthly shimmers, I mean, it depends. Like, there's one that's really, oh my gosh. There are other Halloween palettes that, I mean, they were kind of limited edition. Those are better. But yeah, these are more subtle, the shimmers. Like, they're kind of sparkly, but they're very subtle. That's my most favorite. My second most favorite was the green one, the Creepy Crawly, I believe. Yeah. So, man, these are tones. They're really nice. They're really nice, scrunchy tones. And then my least favorite from the trio is the red ones because I don't use red that often. So, all the shimmers in these, they're very subtle shimmers. Okay, so number 42 is going to be by the Gourmand Girls Spook Palette. So, this one, the formula is great with this one. The mattes are pigmented, they're soft, they're blendable, they're really easy to blend together. And the shimmers, they're very sparkly. They're kind of chunky too, so you have to be careful not to get too much or else you'll get fallout. But the reason why I'm rating this on the lower side is because, I mean, it's just the colors. It's probably because of these colors. I won't use these often until like I reach near Halloween, but these colors I'll probably use during the fall time. The green is really pretty for the springtime. By Nomad Cosmetics, and this is Santa Village palette. So this was limited edition, so you can't get it anymore because it's already sold out too. Oh, you guys, I forgot to show you the packaging. So it looks like this with the cardboard, and you take it out. I love their packaging, their styles. They always go all out for the packaging. This is a color story. The mattes are easy to work with. They're pigmented. It's just a color story. Like, I mean, you kind of have to think about it. I mean, it's not that hard, but it's just shimmers for me. They're supposed to be like dual chromes. They're very, very subtle, so you really have to build them up. With glitter glue, it makes a big difference, though. So that's the only thing. So I kind of still adore this palette, though. It's really different from my whole collection. So this is the Shroud Cosmetic Baddie Bean Collab palette. So this is the first one. It's freaking that palette. So you guys, this one broke. It's like my favorite shade too. It's this shade right here. Yeah, it's probably from all the stacking in my palette, but the color story of this, it's so pretty. So it is like a Halloween inspired palette, but it's like grungy green. Ugh, like potions. Oh, grunginess. I love this one. This one's better than the other one. The shimmers, this one, they just speak to me. They glow. Like, this one's kind of glowy. This blue, it's really pretty. And then you have a mix of purples too. So you have like 3 different tones. Actually, you have a dark purple, green, purple. So it's a great color story. And let me just swatch this blue one real quick. Wow, look at how pigmented that is. Oh, I'm so sad. It's okay. At least it's not completely broken. The next one. So this is by Oden Cosmetics, the Alpha 2 Mini Sky Palette. And this one's really cute. I adore Oden formula. I adore the brand. So it's such a cute palette. It's really easy to work with. It's just, you're just limited though. So you have two different mattes. This beigey side and this darker brown. The shimmers are pretty. They're great formula. This one's more subtle, but yeah, I'm just limited with this palette. But I really Oden Cosmetics, they're like my top favorite brand. And then the next one is another Oden Cosmetic palette. It's the Alpha 2 eyeshadow palette. And right here's the color story. It's easy formula to work with. I forgot to mention their matte formula is so easy to work with, so soft, so easy to blend. Their shimmers are really sparkly, and this one has one glitter, and I have used it and it's so pretty. I use it as a halo look. So next up though, it's by Natasha Denona. It's the Glam palette. So this one, it's a neutral palette, but it's like sultry. It's cool tone. I have a thing for cool tones. I love cool tones, and it looks like this. I need to use it more. It's a really great formula, and then you get enough sparkles. I mean, it's not too sparkly, but it's enough sparkle for a glam look or even an everyday look. So such a great formula. Next up is by Unearthly Cosmetics. It's the Weirdos palette. So this one, I had a problem with this one, but they're gonna send me a replacement. It happened to a lot of people, so I guess you have to reach out to them. I'm not sure if it's too late. It's probably too late, but I reached out to them, and they kind of reached out to me like by the next day, but I didn't realize. But the single should get to me by next week on Monday. But this is a color story right here's the packaging. Great job with packaging. And this will, oh my god, it's grungy. I just don't use these tones often, like the red. I guess red I need to use more often. It's the red. Like I do a lot of purple and red looks, but yeah, I'm not sure what else to do. Probably for Valentine's. I did pick up their mystery box for Valentine's, so I'm looking forward to that. I posted on my community post, so it sold out within the first day, guys. The formulas and shimmers, this one's so insane, oh, so glowy. So I really love it, but it ranked lower because I just love the other ones just much more. So I have another one that ranked pretty damn high, so you guys will see. I have to move the camera again, you guys. It's just bugging me, so I want it to be kind of bright still. So number 35 is going to be the Simply Posh Cosmetics. It's a Genuine Gems palette, so I still need to try out their other one. But so this one, I love their duochrome. They're sparkly. They're not like super shifty, but you can see like the dualness to them. But yeah, it's a great formula with the duochrome. The matte formula, I'm just not a fan of it. It might be just this palette. That's why I got their other palette, the Fairy Tales Fairies palette. So I'll be trying out hopefully this month. But yeah, I feel like some of the mattes are fine, but there were some of the mattes I had issues with, especially if you do a lot of color combos with this one. And then the next up after that one is by Glowish Cosmetics Glamorous palette. So this one, I love the color story, but it's too mid-tone for me. Unless you do monochromatic looks, then you're fine. The duochromes, this one's a sparkly shimmer. These are duochromes. So the duochromes are very sparkly. They're a little bit on the chunky side too, like these two. But yeah, I think because of the mattes, if there was like two mattes that were a little bit lighter, different colors, then it would have ranked a lot higher. And also another thing, the matte formula, like, I'm not sure if it's just me. I'm just not I mean, the matte formulas to this one's definitely better than the Genuine Gems palette, but they're like on the powdery side. I'm not sure. I tried it out again, but I still feel the same way. So I'm not sure if that's how it is with their other palettes, like the Nocturnal palette and their Nearly Neutral palette, because I want to pick those up before they're gone, especially with the Nocturnal palette. They're on our last stock right now, so I really want to pick it up. So I'm just waiting because tomorrow, the 5th, Oden Cosmetics, they're going to release their singles collection, the jewel collection. So I really want to pick some up, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to spend on that. But yeah. Next up though, this is like a new palette. I only did one look, so maybe it would rank higher, but this is the best pastel palette. Like I already know. I haven't swatched the whole thing, but I just know. This is by Nomad Cosmetics. I believe it's the Tokyo Harajuku or Harajuku Tokyo palette. It's such a cute color story. This is better than Natasha Denona pastel palette. Like, don't get the Natasha Denona pastel palette. Get this one. This one's prettier. It's more affordable, and they're sparkly. Some of these shimmers. And then plus with the matte formula, their mattes are so easy to work with too. I love it. They're so soft, and plus their packaging is adorable. It's number 32, and this is by Fantasy Cosmetica, and it's their Druid palette. So this is their first palette. They just started up their business last year, and they already released 3 palettes. I already have all 3. So this one, surprisingly, I know this one's a lot of people's favorites, but for me, well, I think because the matte formula, this one, I don't think it's the best from comparing with their other 2 palettes. Like, I know greens are kind of hard to work with, but these two, they're like too similar. I like these two, but I think it was this tone. I forgot. I think it was the greens. The greens I had trouble with. You just have to be careful with the blending. But the duochromes or the multichromes, their formula, it's one of my favorite formulas from the indie brands. They're so sparkly, they're shifty, they're soft. This one's a soft formula, not too soft, but just the right amount of soft. They're very, very magical. So Fantasy Cosmetica, genre, she loves Jordan. She loves like fantasy games and fantasy genre. So everything's gonna be based on fantasy themes. And yeah, so this is a good palette. This is a good green palette. So this palette is actually one of my unique ones in my collection because of the color story and the sparkles, just the color story. It's really grungy. So this is the Unearthly Cosmetics, the Daily Grind palette. I'm not sure if I said it. So this one, the formula of this one is good. The mattes, they just felt so good. I don't know, something about orange mattes. I guess they're easier to formulate or something, but they're really nice. The green, I tested out the green because the green was the color that wasn't so pigmented I had to build up. And the shimmers, they're kind of subtle in a way. They're supposed to, I think some of them, I think they're supposed to be 3 duochromes, but they're on the subtle side. So I could see myself using this during the fall and summer and even spring. So number 30 is going to be the Nomad Cosmetics Hudson Valley palette. So another Nomad palette. I love their formula. The colors are into this is a perfect fall palette. Like, you get a good range of warm and cool tones. The shimmers, you only get 3 shimmers. That's my only complaint about this palette. Their matte formula, so soft, so easy to blend. One of my favorite matte formulas from the indie brands. Their shimmers though, they're kind of on the subtle side. So that's the only thing. Their packaging always so great. And then the next one up is by Blendbunny Cosmetics All Done Up palette. Last year I just tried out their brand, and I always want to try out the bigger brands, the bigger palettes, which I got. They ranked a little bit higher. So the formula to the matte CDs are really good as well. So this is very beginner friendly, easy to blend out, and their shimmers are really sparkly. It kind of reminds me of Glam Light shimmers. So they're really sparkly. So these are like more silverish, bluish. Then you get a nice gold, and then this is like a pinkish silver, and this one's like a yellow green gold. So it's really pretty. So this is a great fall palette. But I also use it even besides fall. So really good formula. Alright, so this is the Unearthly Cosmetics Dead of Night palette. So I do love the color story. This color story speaks to my soul. The pans are huge, much huger than the other palette. Just the formula in the other one is better. That's what I have to say about between the two. But this one, it's the depth level is more mid-tones, kind of dark. So maybe you could help try to blend out the shades. Yeah, there's gonna be like a lot of dark looks in the shimmers. This is supposed to be a duochrome. I think the only duochrome in this palette. It's really pretty. I love it so much. The formula in this one, the shimmers are great. Most of the mattes are great too. I think there was a few that weren't so pigmented. The only issue, I think it's this one, Bedtime. It has a little bit sparkles. I think they have sparkles just to help blend it out, but yeah, I only used this palette once, but I do enjoy the color story. Terra Moon Cosmetics, and this is the Cosmic Wanderer palette. So this one, I haven't tried their singles matte formula, so I can't compare if the formula's the same. But the shimmers, I forgot which ones are duochromes. I think most of them are duochromes, or all of them. They might be all duochromes. They're so pretty. Great formula. One of my favorite formulas for the shimmers. This one's so magical. The first light, it's so glowy. So the shimmers in this is great. I think this palette was like, I think 55. So I still think it's worth it because with Terra Moon Cosmetics, their eyeshadow depends what it is. They could range from 15 to 18 each. So I totally think it's worth it. So yeah, and plus you get the mattes. Next up is number 26. So this is by Cosmic Brushes in the Serenity palette. So this palette is actually pretty affordable. It's $25, but the only thing shipping is like around $10. I think what the influencer code, I think it saves you just a few bucks. I think it's worth it for the price. So this one, oh, I already took something. This one's so pretty, you guys. So this one, the matte formula is easy to work with, and the shimmers, so this one's very magical, like it's very glowy, and then this is pretty too. Oh, you just get a good range of colors. Like you get purples, greens, a little bit orange, and some gold and some blues. So I think they did great with this color story. So I can't wait to see what else they come up with this year. And next up is going to be the Fantasy Cosmetica Bar palette. So this one, I think this is probably the most perfected color story from their other palettes, because you get the most bang out of your buck. So I think their palettes, I forgot how much they are, I think around 40 something, I don't remember, but I'm telling you, their shimmer formula, it's one of my favorite shimmer formulas because they're so magical, shifty, sparkly, and great formula to work with. The mattes in these are great too. I'm not sure, I don't remember if there was one that wasn't like super pigmented. I think it was the green one. I think these 3 were fine, but it was just the green one. It's always the green ones. But you get 5 different like shimmers. So some were multi-chromes, and I think most of them are just dual chromes. I think there's one only shimmer. Forgot which one it was. I think it was this one. This is the shimmer. So all of these are either dual chromes or multi-chromes. But yeah, this is a great fall palette. Like one of the best. This is actually a new palette. I only used it once, but I love it already. So this is by Gourmand Girls. It's the Ethereal palette. Oh, you guys, I always wanted this palette, and it's so magical. The formula, there's different like textures, like as in there's like shimmer formulas, but there's like a wax formula. So like this shade and that shade, they were more on the waxy side. Like you can feel it. Like if you did swatches, you'll know. This one's so sparkly. That's one of my favorite shades. So I love this shade, that shade. Actually, I love all of these shades. And then that one, and then that one, and then that one. Those are my most favorite shades. So there's like a full dual chrome palette, and I think a mix of multi-chromes too in this one. Alright, next up, another, this is a full dual chrome palette. So this is from Bella Beauty Bar Angles of Illumination 3 palette. So I do have an affiliate code with them. It's Sashi. So if you guys want to buy anything from Bella Beauty Bar, make sure to use my code because it helps give back and it helps save you some money. So 10% off. And this one, it's so pretty. The formula, you get soft formulas, sparkly formulas, and you can do a lot of glam looks with this one. So I have a review of this doing 4 different eye looks because I feel like this one deserved the attention, and I love this one. You get a good range. So if you love like purples and blues, there's like a little bit greens, some purples, some blues, and a little bit orange. So you get a good range of colors in this one, and formula is great. We're on number 22. So this is by Blendbunny, and this is a Dollhouse palette. So I will be honest, I have not used shimmers as my eye looks yet, but I use the mattes like quite a lot. I swatched the whole palette. I love the shimmers in this one, and the matte formula. I love Blendbunny Cosmetics. They're easy, beginner friendly like formula. So Blendbunny Blendbunny, she's a makeup artist, and she has such an artistic mind. She's such an artistic soul, creative soul. She's really good at what she does, and she's good at making these color stories too. They look so perfected to me. And this one, you guys, if you guys are wondering, you guys, this one I had a little accident and it broke, and I added alcohol trying to fix it. I put too much. It's like, yeah, it kind of dried out. I could kind of use it, but then that's why it's pink too. So it was my first time using like rubbing alcohol. Usually I use setting spray, but I should have used setting spray. Now it's like a little ruined, but the formula of this is great, you guys. And so this is by Adept Cosmetics, the Plain Jane Remaster palette. So this one, the formula is great in this one. It's an all shimmer palette. There's different dual, I think a lot of them are dual chrome, some are shimmers. So the dual chromes, they described it as subtle dual chromes, and they are like, some of them they are, but then some of them are pretty shifty in my opinion. So this is actually a beginner friendly, like it's not chunky formula, it's smooth formula. So yeah, I think this is totally worth it. So if you love like purples and blues and a little bit green, then I think you'll love this palette. It's really shifty. So I do have a review of this. I'm not sure. I think there's a video I have like combining palettes, so be sure to check out that video as well. Or my Adept Cosmetic playlist too, so it's a lot easier to find it that way. Oh, I know this was released the year before, but I got this last year with them along with their new palette. So this one is number 20, and it's the Glamlight Michaela Part 1 palette. And I actually, earlier this year, I actually loved this one more than the other one, the new one. But it's because I got into more colors, so I was, you know, becoming more comfortable with color. So this one's, it's a great palette. Like, you get all sorts of shades. It's such a good big palette. The shimmers are sparkly, easy formula. I love their mattes too. They're easy to work with as well. And let's see, the reason why I love this before, more because of the neutral shades made it easier to make some looks. Like if you don't want to do an always colorful look. But yeah, this one's a cute girly color story. I highly recommend this one if you're into the color story. Number 19 is going to be the Blendbunny Surge palette. So the reason why I had to think about it, because with the Dollhouse, I love the Dollhouse, but it's like a lot of like cool tones, like light shades. It's just to help blend out shades too, but this one has more of a color story, and plus it has neons. So in the shimmers, you only get one row of shimmers. The other one, you have 2 rows of shimmers. So this one, with my Blendbunny Cosmetics palettes, I want to be like, I want to use a lot more than my other palettes actually, just for the matte formula, because of the colors, the specific colors I want to use. So yeah, this one's ranked pretty high. Number 18 is going to be the Glamlight Michaela Part 2 palette. So this one used to be, I used to like the other one more, like I said, but this one I just got more comfortable with color. So if you love greens and blues and a little bit yellow, gold, and there is a little bit of purples too, but a lot of greens and blues, and then yellows. This one has a lot more shimmers than the other one. I think this one's totally worth it, and there's not a lot of there's no neutral shades actually. You could always pull out neutral shades to make it more like a comfortable eye look. But yeah, the shimmers in these, they're so sparkly, shifty. Some of them are actually duochrome, and they're really great formula, guys. Love this one, plus the packaging. Number 17 is going to be by Nars Radiant Cosmetics, and this is their Harvest Moon palette. I love the packaging. It's so pretty. The color story, it's a beautiful fall color story, actually year round. It's I love the tones of these. They're like more on the cool side, kind of grungy. The only thing though, there is 2 different glitters. I don't mind the glitters. This is a multichrome glitter. It's the prettiest shade in this palette. I have to use it in a look soon. This one's just a glitter, regular glitter, but they're really pretty. And the formula too, they're matte. They're like hard pressed, finely milled, so you really have to build up the shades, but they're easy to work with, easy to blend. And their shimmers, the duochromes or the multichrome, they're on the smooth side, so they're not chunky. The only issue though that I have noticed recently, my bougie shade, this is a multichrome shade, it dried out on me. So yesterday when I was finalizing my ranking video, my rankings, to help me like rank these palettes, I do some swatches. Only like I know how they swatch, but sometimes it's just to help me remind or help me to decide like which palette do I like better. And I always, you know, I always get tempted to swatch this shade, but it hard pan on me, and so I use setting spray. It does help with the setting spray, but it, you guys, like I just noticed just yesterday, guys. So if it wasn't for that, it would have ranked higher. So that's the only thing, sad thing about it. So I hope it doesn't happen to anyone else. I did pick up their Cosmic Dreamer palette, and I picked up the Brittany Huffman palette. I think that one's gonna be one of my top favorite palettes, but I missed the launch, so I only pre-ordered that. So I think I'm gonna probably receive that probably sometime in February. Okay, so number 16 is by Huda Beauty Powder Cola palette with M. Jones 5018. It's a Celestial Garden palette. So this one, this is a perfect formula. This actually, I had to think about it because this was gonna rank second, you guys. But I had to think about it though. So this is the color story. The color story, I love this color story. One of the most unique palettes. So I already said that a few times. I think this is the 3rd time I'm saying that in this video so far. But yeah, this color story is perfected. You get some water activated liners, so you get to mix with water, and you could do like graphic liners. So this is such an artistic palette. So this palette is not for everyone. It's for something to have fun with. The duochromes, or I think all of these are duochromes, they're so pretty, great formula. The mattes, The mattes in this, it's like finely milled. They're so easy to blend. Like, I have no trouble with the mattes at all. The color story is just perfected. So this was gonna rank second, you guys, but I had to think about it. But the reason why is because it's not like all the time I'm gonna use this palette for the color combos. They're kind of bold. I don't mind it, but it's like all the time. It's like, it's just the different color combinations. You could do monochromatic looks. Yeah, you just do one shade. Yeah, this is just a fun palette, but I had to think about it so hard. This is such a great color story, and it's just not something I'll use like all the time, but I do appreciate it so much. So this one is what I have on my eyes right now. So this is by Electrum Cosmetics. So I really wanted to include this because I feel like it deserves an attention. Like, I really wanted to include it in this ranking video. I only used it once, but I am so in love with the look I created. It's supposed to be a mermaid inspired, the sea witch. Well, it's not just the color story. Maybe there's probably two palettes this reminds me of, just with the matte, but it's all about the multichromes in this one. This one has 5 multichromes and 1 holographic multichrome. So this holographic multichrome, so it's really special. It has that sparkle holographic effect, and while the other ones are multichromes. Shifty. And the formula, to the multichromes are supposed to be her new formula, and I have some singles in her old formula, and it's definitely better. It's smoother, still sparkly and shifted, but it's just smoother. It's more like, not because before I would say in their singles, the old formula, it was more on the loose side, but now it's like better. It's like more like it stays, you know, how it should be. But the thing is, it was my first time trying out these mattes, so some of the mattes, they weren't really pigmented. There was a few mattes that weren't pigmented, like this one, that one, and I forgot which one. I think this one too. I forgot, but I'm pretty sure it was these two. They weren't so pigmented. That was pigmented for sure. So they're on the soft side, but they weren't dry at all. And then when I first received this palette, like, I already knew the color story. I love the color story, but when I seen it in person, I was thinking, because I've been dealing with this with some other palettes, like the Anna Hurley palettes, like that new one, I forgot what it's called, the purple pink one. It's like really mid-tone, like you can't really get that much depth unless you work for it to fade out the shades. But this one, since it's not so pigmented, like, it's not patchy at all, like, you could fade it out. It makes it really easy to fade out. So that's why I have this shade right here, the Sea Witch, the main shade right there. Makes it easy to fade it out because it's not pigmented, and I really digged for it too, so I think it could come out lighter, so it would be even more perfect. But it really ranked high because the special multichrome, her multichromes are usually $15, you guys, so pretty expensive. And she handcrafts everything, hand press everything, everything's handmade, no machines are used for this. And oh, this was before Octopus. Yeah, I'm talking a lot about this palette, but yeah, I think this palette is really special because of the multichromes, and I can't wait. She's gonna have a sale on January 27th of her old formula multichromes. They're gonna be heavily discounted, and her new formula, she's gonna have them discounted, but not as much. But I'm looking forward to that sale, you guys. Okay, now moving on to number 14. It's by Adept Cosmetics, and it's the Minka palette. So this one, I raved about it. I mean, I didn't really rave about it, but I say it's really special. It's really different. It's the sparkliest palette in my collection. You want some sparkles, you want some shimmers, like sparkling shimmers, you want some shiftiness, then this is the palette for you. Minka, she's that girl. She's that girl. So Adept Cosmetics, their formula, they're one of the sparkliest indie brands that I have tried so far, so they really love sparkles. And this one, I have a review of this. I created 4 different eye looks, and my review on this, I practically said that most of these shades are really textured, so you don't really need that much. And if you have sensitive eyes, I would not recommend this for sensitive eyes because of the texture. Like, it could get, and you only need a little bit. You don't really need that much unless you want a full punch to it. But I think this one's nice to have if you want to add a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more of a pop. Like, it's just more sparkle. And then these are more on the smoother side. They're shifty, man. Oh, and the matte, there's 2 mattes in this one. It's not so pigmented. So you really have to build them up, but at least they're not patchy. So guys, rank pretty high. Okay, so now for number 13, guys. This is by ColourPop, and it's the Aurora Struck palette. So this is the only palette I bought from ColourPop last year, and my second ColourPop palette. But this one done so well already because I only did one eye look. I already swatched the whole palette. It's a huge palette, and this retails for $35. if I remember right. But you get all sorts of shades. The only thing though, if you're not aware, the pan sizes are smaller, but you get so many shades, and it's not often unless you keep using the same shade over and over, then you'll eventually pan out. But I think this is totally worth it. And since the last time I tried ColourPop with the It's a Mood palette, I feel like the formula improved. Probably because this is supposed to be like the aesthetic to the Aurora Bergerus. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's really like magical. That's why it's ranked pretty high. I love these colors, the pastels, the dark colors. Oh, I can't wait to use this more. I really love this palette. Number 12. This used to be in my top 10 before I started getting more palettes, of course, but it's still a great palette. So the front of this, amazing. So this is by Oden Cosmetics. You guys know my love for Oden Cosmetics. I love them so much. This is their Solomon 2 palette, and the color story, woo, it's purples, blues, and a little bit of oranges, and a little bit black and red, just a little bit, not too much red, but it's like a wearable shade. Love their matte formulas, really soft, really easy to blend. Their shimmers are sparkly, some are a little bit shifty but not super shifty. They're more on the sparkly side, soft shimmers. Love it, love the packaging, love this collection. Next one, you guys. We're almost the top 10. Okay, so this is number 11, another Oden cosmetic palette. This is their limited edition, so you can't get this anymore. I'm sorry, but I want to include it because I want to talk about it. I want to share my love for the brand. In case you guys are watching this wondering if you have this palette too, but yeah, this is limited edition. So this is the Merry Christmas palette. The forms of this one, oh, much more amazing than the Solomon 2 collection, because this one's more magical. The matte, I feel like the matte might be a little bit better. Like I like with the older palette that I mentioned way earlier, the Alva 2 palette, like I love the formula, but it's kind of like outdated comparing to the Solomon 2 collection. But I feel like these mattes are a little bit better. It's like they keep getting better and better. So their mattes are soft, man. They're easy to blend. They're pretty pigmented too, so that's another thing. So their shimmers, these are magical. This one's I think a multichrome. This is the only multichrome in the palette, and then some dual chromes in here too, like that one and that one. Ooh, and then the rest are shimmers. Oh, such a beautiful color story. This is number 11, and it's just the only thing, I'm probably not going to use these shades. I'll try to. I'm going to use as much as I can with my beloved palettes. I'm going to use them as much as I can this year. But this is a great palette. Love this one. Are you guys ready to hear about my top 10 palettes? Top 10 palettes, you guys. Want to cry because these are so good. They're my most favorite palettes that I've tried from last year. So we're gonna start with this one. This is number 10. This is from Early Cosmetics, and this is a So Strange palette. So this one's freaking amazing. The matte form to these, they're soft. I wouldn't say, like, I mean, they're kind of easy to work with. Like, they're not hard, they're not patchy at all. There was 2 shades that weren't so pigmented. I believe it was these 2 shades, the neon shades, but they're pretty good neons, so they weren't bad neons. Probably these 2 are the only like shimmer shades that I probably won't use as much, but it's these 3. These 3 take the cake, especially this one. These 2, they're so glowy, they're soft. The formula to this one's better than the last 2 newest palettes. I love the formula to this one. It's really good. And I forgot to mention, this is limited edition too, you guys. I forgot to mention this limited edition. I think they're gonna bring them back, but in a different packaging. Oh, I really love this one. It's such a fun color story, and I want to use it again already. Yeah, I really love this one. Number 10. Number 9, you guys, it's gonna be by Sugar Drizzle Polish. Sugar Drizzle Polish is one of my favorite indie brands, and I don't have enough of their palettes. I only have 2, and guys, so this is the Sugar Dreams palette. So it's a dual chrome shimmer eyeshadow palette. The formula to this one is butter goodness, shimmery, bright. This is such a cute palette to have. I have only one video of Sugar Drizzle Polish. I mix palettes up. I think I did 4 different eye looks, but I used like different matte, like different palettes for the mattes, but the shimmers, that's what I used. I used this one and another Sugar Drizzle Polish palette I'm gonna mention in a bit. but this one's really great for it. A lot of these shades are really soft. You have to be careful. So some of them are squishy, but they're really bright, man. So if you wanna brighten up a look, this is the palette for you to brighten up. Well, I'm only gonna swatch 4, but look at that. Yes, I should have swatched the unearly too, but great formula. Well, the unearly one, guys, I'm not trying to swatch it. This one's so freaking magical. Let me just swatch my favorite 2 shades from the unearly real quick. They're soft. Better. So this is from the unearly. I'm just gonna swatch it real quick, but I feel like, oh shit. I went over, but yeah, they're so glowy. This one's like sparkly, soft, shifty. Oh, this one's so glowy neon. That's why, it's okay. But this is number 9 though, because there's a lot of different shades. Oh, it's so cute. Such a cute duochrome palette. All right, guys. So now number 8 is by Fantasy Cosmetics. It's the Sorcerer palette. So this is a unique color story in my collection because it's not a lot of blues and pinks and purples I have, you know. And plus the shimmers, the duochromes, the multichromes in this palette, they're the most magical from this brand. Like, I love it. That's why this is my favorite Fantasy Cosmetica palette. It's such a cute and fun color story. The mattes in this one, I feel like they're easy to work with too. Oh, let me swatch these real quick. They're so magical, like arcane. Arcane, polymorph. Oh, they're soft too. This is the softest palette from comparing to the other 2. This one's more smoother. So it looks like this. Oh my gosh, magical, shimmery. Look at that. Very pretty. Love this one. So special. And I seriously feel like a sorcerer, like a magician, warlock when I wear this palette. Alright, now for number 7 is gonna be another Sugar Drizzle Polish palette, but this is the MILF palette, Man I Love Frogs palette, and this one's so cute. This is like about the same price as the other one. It has this one. I did a video about it telling you guys the differences, but I think they're both worth it. They're both different too, but they're the same price, and this one is such a pretty color story. It's an all shimmer palette too. It's a mix of duochromes. I'm not sure about multichromes, but some shimmers and multichrome. I mean, shimmers and duochromes for sure in this one. This one, if you love purples, blues, and greens, then you'll definitely love this palette. Sugar Drizzle Polish, their formula is amazing with their shimmers. So let me just do a few. So Ribbit, Hop Along, Pawn, and Lily Pad. These are their shades right here. A few of their shades. Really good formula. This one's not as soft as their Sugar Dreams palette. The Sugar Dreams palette is more squishy, but this one, it's still soft and smooth. But you know, just the other one, you have to be more careful not to like mess up the shade. But they're really pretty, very magical. I highly recommend that one. Okay, so now for number 6, it's gonna be by Adept Cosmetics. It's the Neon Hydrant palette. I love this palette so much. It's such a good one. It's very bold. It's like a gel tone magical palette. It looks like this. And yeah, Adept Cosmetics, they do great with their shimmers. Their shimmer formulas, it's very sparkly and pretty shifty. So I can't compare them with any other brand, honestly. They are their own kind of brand. And this one, I love the shifts. I love the color. It's so sparkly, so shifty. Let me swatch a few of these real quick. Alright, so right here's some 4-finger swatches of my most favorite shades. Down, see how shiny. I know I can't do this for every palette, but I'm just doing it for some of my top 10 palettes. See how blinding and shifty and smooth they are, and so sparkly. So good. Number 5, it's limited edition, so you're not able to get it, but it's from Oden's Eye Cosmetics, and it's a Christmas Eve palette. I love this one so much. I still love it more than the other one. The other one's still good. That one, it was ranked number 11, right? Pretty sure ranked number 11 because it's so good. But this one's so different. It's cool tones, and it has purple blues. Cool tones. It's something different, guys. Something different. I have a thing about cool tones. And then purples and blues. The multichrome in this palette, it's this one. It's the shade Gorgeous. And it's like one of my favorite multichromes in my collection. So beautiful, so magical. And so soft, the shimmer, sparkly. Let me just swatch a few. Let me just clean off my finger real quick. Sparkly. Not too sparkly, but like just enough sparkles. That's the shade Gorgeous. I didn't get that much of it, but it's really pretty. See how shifty, how pretty, bright, magical. Yeah, I'm so sorry you guys can't get this, but this number 5 is one of the best palettes ever. Now for number 4, guys, it's by Bella Beauty Bar in the Strange Unusual palette. So this is probably new in my collection. Well, I mean, I just used it like last week or so, you guys. But yeah, I already know, like, this palette, I cried for it. So when it was first became available, it sold out within 8 minutes, and it's because I was on my period. I don't really get my period often, like, because of my birth control. Like, I only get it once in a rare while, and that time I had it, and I was so emotional. Once it sold out, I just started bursting into tears, you guys. I was so sad. Plus the color story of it, it's like one of the unique color stories. So is that the 4th time I said this in this video? This is one of the unique palettes right here. This one, woo! Oh, this one has a mix of multi-chromes and dual chromes. Oh man, they're freaking insane, man. So the mattes though, I always highly praise their matte formula for being finely milled, easy to blend. Like, they're just always so good. But this one, they mentioned that, and when I shared this on my Instagram, I gave my review, and then they mentioned that they updated the formula with their mattes because I guess there was some issues or something that what people were saying. And I'm like, oh shoot. So I had to update my description because I don't want to like spread false, you know, false information. Like, I don't want to like make a brand look bad. Like, I always give my honest reviews, but if they did that, then I really appreciate it. Like, they took the feedback in instead of ignoring it. Like, I really appreciate that. So that's one of the more reason to love Bella Beauty Bar. But the mattes in these, they said they improved it, like they updated or something. So I can't really say how they'll be like in the newest pre-order. So I'm not sure when they updated it, but this is the first pre-order after it sold out. So, but the multi-chromes of this, so beautiful. So let me just swatch a few. So Sandstorm is an iridescent multi-chrome. The Afterlife is multi-chrome. I think this one's a multi-chrome. Lost Soul, that one's squishy. Bio Esters is. So my camera just died. I did the swatches, but then it was loud, so it might be loud from here on out. But let me just do the swatches real. But they're shifty, beautiful, glowy. See, I swatched them earlier, but they're really great formula. So like that. So grungy. Oh my gosh, that's the best shade. You guys. Oh, insane. So glowy, so grungy, so glowy. You guys, I love glowy shades. I love shifty shades too. This palette is on fire. So I don't know about the updated version with the mattes. The mattes, like they like this one, the white, it's really good to diffuse out the shades or make the shade lighter. But I had issues with the greens because though that's the first 2 colors, of course, I only did one I like, but those were the colors I used so I could test it out. But you know, I can't really say because they said they updated the matte in their, I'm not sure which pre-orders they started doing that from, but this is the first pre-order. I always praise their matte formula. So this one, it just tops number 4 because of the multi-chromes, duochromes. It's like one of the most unique color stories from my collection. So that's like, I told you guys, I think that was the 4th time I said it, right? I know I said it earlier about this palette, but yeah, I'm trying to finish up, guys. Because now for number 3, guys, it's another Bella Beauty Bar palette. So I guess this is my most favorite palette because it's such a good color story. So this is the collab palette with Brittany Huffman. So this one, you get a great range of colors in this one. Like the matte formula, no issues with them. This is a great matte formula. Like, it's finely milled, easy to blend. The only issue is just this one. This one I expected to be more neon, but it's really like not that pigmented. But it's a nice, like a diffused out, like toned down like pink neon. But the shimmers, the multichrome or duochrome, they're so pretty. So this one beats by the Strange and Unusual Probably because I'll use this one more. This one's a more usable palette. Like I could do a blue, green look, green look, pink look, orange look, purple look. The only thing, I'm a little bit limited with the multichromes, like what I want to feel like using, but the matte formula is great, and of course there's shimmer formula. But anyways, guys, now the top two, guys. Number 2, Adept Cosmetics Haus Labatories palette. So when I did a review of this, I've used this several times already, and it's freaking insane. Another insane palette. The formula of this one, this is probably the best formula from Adept Cosmetics from all the palettes I have, because all the shimmers, it's a new formula too. It's like a buttery formula, so good. Like these are so buttery, good, smooth, pigmented, shifty. So I will do a few swatches. The mattes, I would say they're in a better matte formula. Like it's a little bit more pigmented comparing to the Minka one. The Minka one is really light, but you have to build up. But these are easy matte formulas to work with. The orange, the teals, very nice. And this one, actually, it's like a different shade when you put it on. So let me just do some swatches of this palette real quick. Zor-El is a multichrome. So squishy. So you have to be careful because they're squishy. Zor-El. So soft. The best formula, you guys. Zor-El. Okay, I have one more room. Let me do the red one. I love this shade. Cow-El. Oh my gosh. These are like glowy. You guys, I really love the glowy shades. And this is a palette that made me fall in love with orange. I wasn't really like a huge fan of orange. Like it's not really orange. It's like more like red orange. But this palette made me fall in love, like love more orange. Especially the glowy orange. So let's do some swatches. That's the multichrome. I have reviewed this. It's pretty old review. I did it when it first came out. It's really an amazing palette. If you love the colors, then I say go for it. It is limited edition too. I'm not sure if it's available right now. It might be, but they brought it back, you know, for a limited time. I highly recommend this one. I really do. If you love the colors, go for it, because people are gonna stop and ask you like, what are you wearing? Like, it's freaking cool. Now for my number 1 favorite. I really tried so hard, you guys. I really thought about it hard. Even earlier this year, you know, I already knew this color story. I was like really in love with it, and I thought about it while I was doing my rankings. Actually, I was thinking about, should this one be number 1, but it's not like I'm not gonna use this one like all the time. But the formula is so good, so unique. But this one, like, I tried my best. So there's a lot of this is a lot of people number 1 favorite, because I've seen a few videos already, and even on Instagram too. I'm like, damn, guys. So this is by Adept Cosmetics, another Adept Cosmetics palette. So there's a Heather Austin collab palette. So she's a YouTuber, beauty content creator, and really this color story is perfected. It's like another unique color story in my collection. So that's the 5th time I'm saying that from all the palettes I've said. And yeah, you get like a nice mustard yellow, a green, a orange, a purple. Like, what more can you ask? Those are the mattes, while the rest are shimmers. These are really like a nice choice of shimmers, because if you like purplish, like purplish silverish, and the yellow, green, orange, then you'll love this palette. This palette is really great for all year round. It's really such a beautiful glam palette. The formula is amazing. The mattes, I would say the best mattes, I prefer these mattes and this one. I think the green was the most troubling for me, honestly. It's the shimmers though, they're so pretty. Like the orange, the purple, the purplish, the silver. And then also this squishy shade. This shade is really unique. So I prefer using this on the bottom than the lid, because this one does crease on me a little bit. Yeah. Or is it good to use as a base too? So you can use this on the bottom and then use the sparkles on top. So that's another thing too. So let me do some swatches of this one. So let me do the scrubs. Oh, this one's so squishy. So excited. It's also a little bit cool tone too, so that's another reason why I love this palette. So it's a little bit cool tone with the silverish shades and the mauve taupey shade. Oh, and I love the shade too. It's Smith. This is like a smoother formula. So I'll just do it right here. It's really pretty. So yeah, so pretty, guys. What more can you ask for? I'm really actually kind of surprised because I did say that earlier this year. This is probably going to be my most favorite color story, my most favorite palette, and I'm surprised it still is, because after all the palettes I use, like, it's just so pretty. It's such a perfected color story. It's unique, different. Like, I see Heather Austin's personality in this. Like, I see it, man. I see her in this palette. It's so cool. So I think they did a great job. But I had so much fun ranking all these palettes. I really hope you guys had fun watching. Let me know which ones are your top 10 favorites, if you can even decide which ones are your top 10 favorites. Are my top 10 favorites your favorites? I would love to hear it, because guys, those are the best palettes in my collection. The top 10 best. I mean, there are other palettes even from the top 20. Those are pretty good too. But it's just that the top 10, really, they're like palettes I can't live without. But anyways, guys, I really hope you guys love this video. If you guys are new to my channel, I do a lot of indie palette reviews. I started to do palette rankings. I'm trying to do them every month. I didn't do it last month because just last month was kind of crazy. So I'm going to do a ranking for December to January palettes. I can't always review a palette. Sometimes I just run out of time, or I get too busy that I can't review a brand new palette. So I really want to enjoy my collection right now, and whatever this year that comes out, I'm only gonna just get what I think is, you know, different and unique, something that's worth my money, you know. Like, I really indulged last year, and so this year I'm gonna kind of calm it down, enjoy my collection right now. I'm gonna be doing a decluttering video soon, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I love you guys all so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.